institution ordained by God. The desire and wish of every young man and young woman is to grow up and find a life partner that they can walk this journey of life with. But what happens when this institution that ought to be something that will be forever turns out to break up at the end? That is why today on the program, we're going to be taking a look at the increasing cases of divorce in the society and how do we curb this tide? How do we protect our marriage institutions, and how do we let people know, and how do we teach them the values inherent in a happy marriage? Hello and welcome to Indepth on ABS Television. My name is Priska Onwankwo. I will take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be introducing other cousins for this program. Remember, the topic of the front burner today is addressing the increasing cases of divorce in the society. In case you just joined in, this is still Indepth on ABS Television. My name is Priska Onwankwo, and today will be my spotlight on addressing the increasing cases of divorce in the society. Where do we go from there? What happened to a marriage institution? How can we revive the union of marriage? And how can we change people's mindset with regards to marriage and the different things that follow? Joining the conversation today on the program, I have Apostle Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyichukwu. Apostle, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. We also have Mrs. Chinwe Frances Nabu. She's a social worker and also the founder, Chima Empowerment Foundation. You're welcome, Mrs. Chinwe.
Thank you so much.
Mrs. Chinwe, Apostle Dr. Ifeanyi, but I know it's Mr. Ifeanyi too because I know you're married. All right, okay, we're talking about a divorce as a concept, and one would wonder why divorce. But why divorce? Because if you look around, you see that the high speed of divorce is something that needs to be looked into. It's something that's become worrisome, and one would wonder what was obtainable in the past. Why is it that these cases were not very rampant in the past? And what is happening right now? What changed? But before we go into all that, I would like to start with Apostle. Now, I want you to, just give us a brief insight into what divorce entails.
I will start by saying that the reason why there is a level of high rate of divorce today in our society is as a result of it. Being ignorant of what marriage is all about. Because today I discovered as people thought that marriage is a joke, or things that a boy can just enter into. And because of that, they just entered into marriage without being prepared. And the outcome of it, is always outrageous. Now, first of all, before I proceed, what is marriage? Marriage is a union between two creatures of God, which both of them agreed together that we want to live together as husband and wife, accepting each other. And today you can agree with me that the vision which made God originally said that it is not good for the man to be alone has been defeated by the so-called man, because of our selfish motives. Sometimes people enter into that marriage with wrong motives, not the right motive, in order to be a companionship. So some enter it because of what they want to achieve, some because of money, because of other things. Some are being forced into it, either by parents or by people around. And when these people now come together, they will now discover that because they didn't take time to accept each other, love each other before entering into the marriage, it will bring out problems. And if these problems are not well, handled, it will lead to divorce. And this is what has been happening today in our society, which one of the things that causes this divorce is the rate of infidelity that is going on in our country today. And this infidelity today, no woman wants to see any man or husband cheating on her. And the same thing to men. You don't want to see your wife cheating on you. Whenever they discover such thing that is happening, it causes a lot of problem. And if not well resolved, it will lead to, divorce. And another thing is too much, extravagant expenses, because a man wouldn't want the wife to spend money anyhow, in the things that are worthless. Same to the woman, especially when they have joint account. They wouldn't want each other to spend money anyhow. And if such thing occurs, it leads to divorce. And that thing is lack of trust. When there is no trust, between two married couple. And there are so many other things that can cause such a thing in our society today. So, but my prayer is that if God will lay it in the heart of men and they will understand the purpose of God before entering into marriage, I think the level of the divorce will be reduced.
Okay. Now, Mrs. Chinwe, Apostle has said a lot of things, and he even went further to look at the causes, remote causes of divorce, and he mentioned the fidelity. And some persons will say that infidelity is not enough reason for you to leave your spouse. That what is the guarantee that eventually when you meet someone else, the person will still not do the same thing? So what's your take on this issue of infidelity? Because sometimes it seems to be one predominant challenge marriages face today.
Infidelity is a major challenge because even Apostle Paul said it, I think in Matthew. He said that the only reason that I, Paul, will suggest that the only reason you should leave your marriage is if you catch your husband, not you heard, not you are suspecting, but if you see your husband cheating on you, you have the right to divorce the man, or the man has the right to divorce the woman. But we are Africans, like I will say, and I'm going to be very practical about it. It's not enough reason to leave your marriage. Yes, because this thing called marriage has its processes. It starts with courtship. You should be able to know your man before getting into marriage. And there are certain things we see during courtship, and sometimes we assume it's going to change automatically during marriage, and that's a lie. And so when you get into marriage, you wouldn't say, this man changed all of a sudden. No, there were things you knew before you went into that institution. And maybe somehow you overlooked them, or maybe you thought you had those powers to change the man, or the man had those powers to change the woman, and that's a lie. And this thing called divorce, if I may define divorce, divorce is a legal ending of a union. A legal ending of a union. Now, if you check in the olden days, it wasn't like this. Our parents were, especially the women, endured a lot. Then it was more like slavery. Yes, women didn't have a mindset of their own. They didn't have a voice of their own. Most times they weren't even the ones that chose their men. Those men there was this arrangement somehow. They found themselves in marriage. I remember my grandmom telling me back then she got married at the age of 12.
Mine was 11.
12. And after she told me that, I sat back and I started looking at this woman. What did you do at that age? I can remember my son that is about over 12 now. If he tells me he's going out to see a girl, I know how I should react, And our parents were taking everything. And they will always say, Nai means our father. They addressed their husbands as their father. you know. But right now, we're in the 21st century. Things are changing. We are getting very exposed. And so in this 21st century, a lot of things are happening. Women are beginning to know their rights. Women are beginning to talk. And our men too, back then, were more responsible. You know, men then knew their rights. They know they have to go to the farm.
Yes.
They know they have to do this. They know they have to do that. But right now, most men are getting lazy. They don't do what they are supposed to do in the home. And women are taking over. You know, you see women doing like how many jobs, paying fees and all that, you know, and in the end, they are not, most of them are not even appreciated. And so when they look at these things, it's enough reason for divorce. And then, other reasons could be incompatibility. Incompatibility. And these things are noticed during courtship. Remember, I said courtship is very important. You don't dive into marriage. You need to know the person you're going to spend your whole life with. Imagine siblings quarrel. Siblings face out most times. And then you're marrying somebody you don't know from Adams. You know, because there was this chemistry now. And so you need to study the kind of person you're getting married to. The main thing is not love. Love is natural, it's an intrinsic value. So whether if I see a man I don't know on the road, naturally I should love him as a human being. It's there. But then the basic thing is compatibility. Do you share the same values? Do you share the same likes? Do you have like terms? And so when that thing is not in place, there is every tendency that there will be divorce. Another thing is communication. Yes, incompatibility, communication. If you're not compatible with somebody, you can't share ideas with the person. And there are some people that are in marriage, they don't even know what their husbands do. They don't know how much their husbands have. They don't know their businesses. They don't know anything. They come in the morning, the husbands drop money for them on the table, and then off. No communication, nothing. You know, then there is something in the Catholic Church they call impediment. They call impediment. That is marriage built in lies. Now, it is legally accepted that marriage should be annulled in the Catholic Church. For instance, your spouse has a disease before marriage.
And you're unaware of this disease.
Like you're aware of the disease.
Oh, you're aware.
You're aware you have that disease.
But
you didn't share. Good.
Okay.
And you hid it from your spouse, and then you went into that marriage. You know, when it is discovered, and maybe you can't take it, it wasn't your plan for marriage, and then you want a divorce. Yes, the Catholic Church will grant you that divorce.
That is annulment. They annul
the marriage because it's a marriage built in lies.
So you never resisted.
Good. Then another thing again is genotype incompatibility. If you marry somebody that you're not compatible with, like for instance, AS marrying AS, of course you're going to produce a child. And then most men would lie to the women, or most women will lie to the men because they feel the man has money. They don't want to lose that man. And it will be like, oh, I'm AA, we are compatible. And when they produce a child, they're seeing SS. And they will ask, how come? A man who doesn't love you enough will say, no, I'm ending this. You lied to me. And when you go to the Catholic Church, if you're married under the Catholic institution, they will annul the marriage because it was built in lies. So there are so many things that are happening today. People are opening their eyes. People are seeing a lot, especially women. You know, in marriage, like I'll go back to communication. Most people don't talk. There are so many things you should be able to talk to your husband or your husband talk to you about, especially when it comes to sex. Sex is key in marriage. God brought in sex to prolong the sweetness of marriage. And then you are married to somebody who isn't satisfying you sexually. You should be able to tell the man, you're not giving me enough satisfaction. And so if the man doesn't take it in, or maybe, why are you telling me this, or gives a wrong reaction, then the woman starts going outside to get herself satisfied. You see where infidelity comes into
play.
And so definitely, and when she's caught, she's divorced. And she doesn't feel a thing about it because she told you and you didn't take it seriously. If you have health issues, you should be able to go and fix yourself. If you don't have enough knowledge, you can be able to tell my wife, okay, fine, I'm not satisfying you. What should I do? Can you teach me some styles and what have you? You should be able to do what? Communicate with your spouse.
Sorry, thank you. Okay, at this point, we'll take a breather, and when we come back, we're going to be looking at what effects divorce has on the children who are supposed victims, who are likely the people that are most affected when divorce happens. What is the effect of divorce on the society at large, looking at the family as the basic social unit in the society? We'll talk about all this and how can we stem the tide. We'll return. All right, you're welcome back. This is still Indepth on EBS Television. We're still talking about increasing cases of divorce in the society and how we can address this issue. All right, before we went on the break, Mrs. Chinwe was talking about the causes, the effects, the causes rather of divorce, how infidelity and how incompatibility can also lead to divorce, and how communication is a very important factor in marriage. Right now, we'll go back to Apostle Ifeanyi. Now, Apostle Ifeanyi, studies and statistics have shown that children are usually the most affected people when it comes to a divorce. So, we'd like to know, how does divorce affect the children, and how can we protect the children when there is this instance of divorce?
For instance, if you look at our society today, we start by looking at this country. Today, everybody is talking about Nigeria. If you look at it, it comes from the children. Because if we have good children, the society will be good. Today, if the church must be a good place to be, the children also must have a good training. And if the villagers and people around us must enjoy the environment, the children has to have a good training. And that good training cannot be there if there is a divorce. Because at times I discovered that being a single mother or a single father, in order to train the children, at times they are lacking a lot. Because if the father is not there, the children will be lacking so much. And if the mother is also not there, the children also will be lacking, because there is a lot of qualities they will learn from their mother. There are a lot of things that the mother will inculcate into them. But assuming there been a divorce, those things will not be there. And again, it's likely to say that children are more afraid of their father than the mother. And if there is a divorce, then how can the children grow in fear? How can you now be able to direct them to follow the right footstep? Because the man who's supposed to be the person, guiding them is not there. And the wife also is not there. So you see the children start misbehaving. So, but for us to help these children not to, encounter this kind of problems, we need to manage this rate of divorce that is happening today. It can be managed, even though we know that sin is a sin. And even Jesus himself emphasized on that. He said, if you can also do what? Forgive that your wife or your husband that you caught in that infidelity. For instance, a woman rushed to me one day and was telling me, I caught my husband red-handed, on top of a woman in a hotel. And she was crying. She said, today everything will end. I said, no, everything will not end. Don't utter such words. He said, no, you don't understand. You don't understand my pain, what I'm going through. He said, this man had been cheating on me for long. And I've been monitoring him, but today I caught him red-handed. Then I said to her, I said, dear, if you can listen to me, and the advice I'm going to give to you to work for you, that same marriage, you will enjoy it. I said, look at your children, look at those children, there are about 4 of them, there. And now you are even pregnant. So if you divorce that man, now these children will start suffering this early. And your husband is not all that knows how to take care of the children, So she now came down. I began to talk to her. I said, listen, when you got home, since did your husband saw you? He said, yes. I said, when you got home, the man will want to act somehow. Tell the man, please, I'm sorry. I know who you are. I know that you didn't do this thing intentionally. You are a good man. You are not evil. You know, I said you should use this word on him. It's going to be, difficult on you. But if you can listen to me, because it's a man. Say, every man has a key. That if you get the key of that man, you can penetrate that man and soften him. So then while I was talking to her, I said, listen, this is what you are going to do. Then the moment you do that, you have come to a level of doing what? Bringing that man's conscience to life, to walk in him. He said, Daddy, can I be able to do this? And I said, you can. Now, listen, there's something you still need to do after doing all this thing. Go and prepare his food, present the food for him. Then if he wants to complain, don't give him the room for complaint. If he approaches you tonight, give him the sex. She said, can I be able to do this? I said, you can be able to do it with the help of God. Am I talking? Now, with the help of God, you can do it. I said, but listen, this is what I want to tell you now. You will do. He said, what is this? I gave her prayer. And I gave her some quotations from the Bible. I said, go and do this prayer for the next 4 or 5 days. Come back and tell me what is happening. I'm going to back you up in this prayer. What is the prayer? Oh Lord, from today, if my husband goes out, may his man never walk outside. Only on me will this thing walk on. It will not walk on any other woman outside there. Do you know that she went and embarked on that prayer? After some days, she rushed back to my house. He was calling on me, said,
Thank you,
sir,
Jesus.
do you know that this thing worked? And that was how God settled that marriage. So my prayer is that God will give wisdom to people. We need wisdom in order to handle marriage. Every kind of sin in marriage is also forgivable. It's forgivable if we can learn what it takes to forgive. And that is where I see another problem, because unforgiveness is ruining our heart and the heart of men. It's not everything that leads to divorce. If we can calm our heart, especially our women, because it touches them much. Because the way women cheat on their wife, on their husband, is the same way men cheat on their wives. So it is 50-50. So it's happening every time.
It really
so
is.
I tell you. So may God help us,
Okay.
so that
Amen.
we can grab the kind of wisdom we need to handle any particular one that comes up.
Okay, it seems like Mrs. Chinwe is in disagreement with this 50-50 of a thing. Do you concur, or do you have a divergent opinion with regards to the infidelity of the part of men and women?
Okay, please just permit me to start from where Apostle said, like I said initially, I said, sex, or rather infidelity, is not enough to back out from your marriage. But your instructions to that woman, I don't know, maybe it could be spiritual. I won't. Yes, but then when the man comes back, cook for him. Of course, you should cook for him. Then, if you want sex, what if there is an infection somewhere? You didn't even advise on them going for, yes, if I should get my husband doing that, you're going straight to the laboratory with me. That's the first thing before giving you my body.
Exactly, I did. I just forgot I did.
So that's basics.
Yes.
2, I would advise every woman to equip themselves.
Exactly.
If you equip yourself as a woman, there are certain things you wouldn't pay attention to.
Exactly.
Going to your man's phone, monitoring him,
Yes.
knowing if you're a busy woman, if you have a very busy schedule, there are certain things you wouldn't, see. And you were like, men are difficult. You can only change a man who wants to be changed. And a man who sees decency in discipline. And so every woman has a different way of reacting to things. But back to the effect of divorce in the society, I must say this. The basics in child care isn't fear, like you said.
Yeah.
It is love. Divorce is a process. It didn't just start from divorce. It started from quarrels. It started from lack of communication. It started from parents being apart. And those children are seeing all these things. And it begins to build in their hearts. Oh, my parents quarrel all the time, so they don't even know the love side of marriage. Oh, my mom is always bitter. I tell people, if you want to see the best in your child, treat your wife well.
Exactly.
Because a woman who is frustrated
We'll take it out.
transfers aggression to the child.
Them, yeah.
Most times you see children abused, you see house helps abused. It's not because that is the way the woman is. It is because the woman sees the house help as the closest means to launch her attack. You know, because the Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart,
The mouth speaks.
the mouth speaketh. So out of the abundance of the frustration, the woman reacts. And so, love is the key thing.
Okay.
Most of these children you see in the society, armed, and even women, we have armed robbers that are women, and they are more dangerous. You know, they are doing these things out of bitterness. You know, like growing up, I was telling my husband, the first thing I told my husband when I got married, I told him, sir, I don't want this harshness with my kids. If you do it, we discussed it before we got married, because my upbringing was tough. My dad will call me Chinwa, and I'll be like, sir. I'll be like, was it a military? Okay, then I was in a convent school, and we were using a landline, and we'll just form the line, and my colleagues, my classmates will call their parents, Daddy, I love you. I will tell them, oh yeah, people should wait for me. It's time to call my own parents. And I'll call my dad. Hello, he will answer well. Daddy is Chinwe. Ogini, what is it? Why are you calling me? This is a girl you have not spoken to. He wasn't a bad man. It was just his nature. And that thing killed a lot of things in me. I became withdrawn.
An introvert?
So I think the basics of the reason we are having these problems in the society from our young children is because they lack love. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right. We would like to draw the curtain here, but just before we do that, just a few words. Just tell us, how can we address this issue of divorce? Just in a few sentences.
We need more prayers.
Okay, prayers.
You know, say something, because prayer is very, very important.
Okay.
In every home, especially Christian home.
All right.
And if we don't pray together, like a family that prays together stays together.
Stays together. Thank you. How do we address this issue briefly?
Like Apostle said, the owner of the institution called marriage is God. And so, for you to have a very beautiful home, you must have a godly foundation.
Okay.
And then love, understanding, and wisdom to follow the affairs of your home and union. God bless you.
Thank you. And we thank Mrs. Chinwe Frances Nabo, a social worker and the founder, Chima Empowerment Foundation. Thank you for lending your voice to this very important discussion.
Thank you.
I also want to thank Apostle Dr. Emmanuel Ifeanyi Chukwu Ujidike. Apostle, thanks for your insights. All right, this is where we draw the curtain on the program, but remember, marriage is a beautiful institution. Do not let what is happening around with the incessant cases of divorce deter you. Married couples, be committed and imbibe the spirit of forgiveness so you can have a long-lasting and a happy home filled with love. And this is where we sign out on In-Depth on EBS Television. My name is Priska Wanko.